Tonight we start with the White House and Congress, who are facing a deadline this week to reach a deal on a budget. If they can't, parts of the federal government will essentially run out of money and be forced to shut down. Tony DeCopel reports.
Days before a possible partial shutdown of the federal government, there's no sign that a compromise is in the works. On Sunday, the White House doubled down on its insistence that Congress provide $5 billion for a wall along the Mexico border.
We're going to do whatever is necessary to build the border wall to stop this ongoing crisis of illegal immigration.
And that means
this is a very, if it comes to it, absolutely.
The response from Democrats is equally emphatic.
President Trump should understand there are not the votes for the wall in the House or the Senate. He is not going to get the wall in any form.
Last week, the president said he would be proud to shut down the government over the issue of border security. Other Republicans are wary of the idea.
We, through the appropriations process, already have approved 75% of the funding for the government for the next year, but I still think it's better to not have any sort of even a partial shutdown.
Democrats insist they're open to compromise.
Do I think that we can avoid a shutdown? Of course I do, because there's people on both sides of the aisle that want to find common ground. I think that's possible.
If no agreement is reached, parts of the federal government will close indefinitely on Saturday, December 22nd. Tony DeCopel, CBS News, New York.
In January of this year, the federal government did shut down for 3 days over the extension of DACA. If an agreement to continue funding the government is not reached by the end of the day Friday, then another shutdown could take place. In past shutdowns, up to a third of national parks have closed and turned people away. MTN's John Shear reports from Yellowstone National Park and says this time could be a little different.
Well, Yellowstone Park has barely opened for its winter season, and already it's facing a possible shutdown. Maybe. It turns out that the rules for whether the park closes or stays open have changed a lot this time around. For starters, this gate at the north entrance will stay open no matter what. It's the only way for residents of Silvergate and Cook City to get in and out. The National Park Service isn't talking about a shutdown, saying only that it won't speculate on government activity and that all parks are open for business as usual. Tourism businesses we attempted to speak to in West Yellowstone also declined to speak about a possible shutdown. Zandora, the company that operates hotels, restaurants, and other services in the park, told us it is optimistic, but is prepared in case of a shutdown. There is a long and complex set of rules for parks at the Department of Interior website. That document mostly leaves hard calls about keeping parks open to local superintendents. In Yellowstone's case, that's brand new Superintendent Cam Sholey. The document says if there is a government shutdown, then parks will notify the public that all visitor services, including restrooms, trash collection, facilities, and road maintenance, will cease. Park staff will have 4 hours to wrap up their work and go on furlough. There are only a few exceptions based on public safety and law enforcement. Park roads, lookouts, trails, and the like will remain accessible so long as it is safe to do. But any facility that generally closes at night will close for the duration of the shutdown. This winter, the Mammoth Hotel is closed for refurbishing, but the Snow Lodge at Old Faithful is open. People have reservations, and it would seem there's a lot of business to lose during the holidays. The Interior Department says concessionaires like Zandora can continue to operate, at least in the short term, so long as it does not require regulatory oversight from the Park Service. Now, even if there is a shutdown, Yellowstone will never just be abandoned. There will always be some people working here. The Park Service says that in the Intermountain region, and Yellowstone is part of that region, there will be 777 Park Service employees on the job even during a shutdown. In Yellowstone National Park, I'm John Shearer for MTN News.
The Interior Department instructions say the Park Service should not shut down any areas unless there is an imminent threat to human life, safety, or health, or unless there is an imminent threat to sensitive natural or cultural resources. Tomorrow, a big reveal about the much talked about One Big Sky project at the City Council meeting tomorrow night. The final project plans revealed. Back in October, the developer Bob Dunn, president of Wisconsin-based Hammes Company, presented an analysis during a council work session and said Billings has proven itself as an established destination and profitable area. In his presentation, Dunn showed three main points of the development moving forward: building a destination, diversifying operations, and leveraging the Montana experience. Tomorrow night, City Council is also scheduled to make a decision on whether to allow the Alberta Bear Theater to proceed with its plans for an expanded plaza or leave it as is. The proposal expansion would take away some downtown parking on 3rd Avenue North. And join here now with meteorologist Connor Pregitzer. You know, it's the middle of December and there's no snow on the ground. Is that normal?
No snow on the ground creeping up on us. Not necessarily abnormal, but I will say unseasonal. Okay. And it's a kind of an important distinction that unseasonal and abnormal are not necessarily the same. Here's some numbers I dug up. So far this year, 6 days in December, over 44 degrees, less than 1 inch of recorded snow. A little warm and a little dry, but we look back 2017 in that 16-day stretch to start December, 12 days over 44 degrees. They had a little bit more snow, and we take it back all the way through 2013. We can see pretty common to have those warmer temperatures, but across the board a little bit more snow. So a little dry here, but a little warm as well. One thing, what's the takeaway here? I think it's this. It goes to show that averages are really good forecasts for specific days, and that we can see a really big deviation from averages without really seeing a deviation from what's normal or what we couldn't expect. Now I'll tell you a little bit more about what we can expect going forward here in the full forecast in just a bit.
Thanks, Connor. About 250 people attending classes in School District 2 are homeless. A group in Billings helps give them Christmas gifts. The last day for Operation Billings Child to Collect Gifts is Monday. The Billings Kiwanis helped start the project in 2013, and several businesses are helping. The drop-off points for destination are this House of Books and Rocky Mountain Bank branches downtown and at the West End. The group's founder and city council member talked about how gifts help the students.
When someone hands us a beautifully wrapped gift, there's just this uniqueness about it that makes you feel special. And that's the connection we want that child to have and to feel. We deliver the gifts to School District 2, and then educators give the gifts to the children, just to strengthen that bond of the child with school.
Well, thanks for watching the 10 o'clock news. After the break, in this week's Ag Network Report, find out why grocery stores and farmers are happy about the growing demand from consumers for pulse crops. And later in sports, have you ever wanted to know what it's like behind the scenes at the National Finals Rodeo? Here's your chance coming up.
You're watching MTN News with Zoe Zandora, Storm Tracker Weather with Connor Pregitzer, and Sports with Casey Conlon. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.